Hey guys, how's it going? So I was thinking about this whole thing against free speech, and the war against free speech, which is what's happening now. Which is kind of sad. The fact that in places like colleges and universities, where you should be questioning the I suppose the establishment, the norm, everything, and should have the freedom to be able to basically say, ask and question whatever it is that you come across. I mean, how are you going to learn if you don't ask questions? Or say, look, hey, this is the opposing argument. If you're unable to talk about it, if you're unable to have the freedom to be able to do that, what effect do you think that does have? I mean, it's kind of ironic, as I said, that the places like colleges and universities where, you're supposed to be challenged, where you're supposed to be questioned, where you're supposed to break out of your comfort zone. They actually want to make safe spaces, like completely holy. I don't mind the whole, okay, there's a place where you can go, where you can be safe, because, that's the thing. But to have whole campuses where you can't even get a proper education because, if it questions, the way you're brought up and the way, people are trying to tell you how to live, then, that's considered bad. So what effect does that have? To me, it is kind of insulting, the fact that by restricting speech, by restricting the questioning of authority, questioning of how it goes. I mean, that's how science was based off, was that, here's the whole world is flat. And people go, well, what if I kept travelling and they found out the world was round? Oh my God. That it's insulting on the fact that they believe you to be so stupid that you can't either, think for yourself, or that everything has to be dumbed down so much and spoon-fed to you. Now, dumbed down doesn't mean, simple words, what I call 1 and 2 cent words. Dumbed down means that you are fed stuff, you are told that you shouldn't be thinking, or if you do think, that you should think this way, thinking with the crowd. And some people say, oh, but I'm against the establishment. But you look around closely at who and what you surround yourself with, and how many people are saying the same thing. If you have a whole lot of people around you, and a lot of them are saying the same thing, but some of them aren't saying the same thing, and they actually oppose your views, and you actually can have an intelligent discussion rather than lecturing them, then that's a good place to be, because that way you don't get so caught up in the hype and the mob mentality. You're actually an individual who has a thought process rather than a mob with an IQ of 1, And I guess that's the thing. Is it because people are becoming inherently lazy, or do they get a high off this whole I belong to a group thing? But then what happens if, you come to a realization and you express an opinion that's slightly not the same? I mean, the groups have changed and evolved over time. As I said, I think it was yesterday, that, one of the ladies who created the first modern women's shelters is now banned and gets death threats from those very people and the very groups that, she initiated and supported. And it goes to show just how things have changed, and the whole attitude and the point of view, and some things go more extreme, some things don't. So this whole war against free speech thing, you can't say I believe in free speech, except for you can't say this and you can't say that. Well, that's kind of against the definition of free speech. You either allow anybody and everyone to have their say, or you don't allow anyone at all, even if it hurts, even if you find it offensive. This may seem harsh, but you could deal with it, because there's plenty of things in the world that people say that others will find offensive, and some people have gone and say, hey, no, I find that offensive. And I go, look, I don't. And I go, well, why don't you find it offensive? Because, it's against me and my people and blah, blah, blah. And I go, well, because I just don't. He goes, oh, but other people will go, yeah, that's other people, that's just not me. And I'll thank you to not demand any apologies and all that. on my behalf. I mean, there was, I think I was watching with Sargon of Akkad. He said, apologise directly to this woman, and she goes, well, now I want you to apologise to everybody. I go, yeah, but you don't speak for everybody. And she's actually said that, I don't speak for everybody, so I can't speak for everybody, but I want you to apologise to everybody. It's like, that directly contradicts just what you said, that you say that you can't speak for everybody, but you demand for somebody to apologise to everybody en masse, and they may or may not be offended. I actually do find and would find that offensive for someone to demand an apology from somebody on my behalf. Now, if I found something really offensive, I'd either, ask or try and ask what their opinion, I don't know if it's their opinion, but what their experience was that brought them to that, conclusion or that opinion, if I cared that much about that person. And then sometimes you go, okay, fair enough, that's your experience, okay, my experience is this, and then you have a discussion about it. You don't say, oh, well, that's just wrong, because it's just wrong, because because other people find it offensive. I go, well, no, do you find it offensive personally as a person? Like, if it was like a racist joke against me and I found it offensive, I'd be like, okay, that's my personal experience. I've experienced racism, and I personally find that offensive. If I had not yet experienced that, then I just wouldn't find that very offensive, because I haven't had any experience with it. There are plenty of things I had experience with, and then I don't find things offensive, because I know that that's just the way some people talk. And it doesn't really matter what they communicate. It doesn't really matter. Their intent does matter. So a lot of people at the moment, they're using Jew as a pejorative. Now, I find if I was Jewish and someone says, oh, well, you're just a Jew, and then they refer to you as a Nazi, I'd be like, that's kind of, there's a contradiction right there, and that's extremely offensive. That's if I was Jew, but I'm not. Now, that's the thing I don't understand, is this contradiction. I'm not sure if it was a hypocrisy. I haven't quite read up on the terms. That other people who do debates are a lot more well versed in this than I am. To actually accuse someone of being a white supremacist or a Jewish white supremacist, I would be very surprised, because to me those are two conflicting. It's what I call an oxymoron, an oxymoronic phrase or term. But yeah, I do wonder about that. So this whole free speech is, to me, even if you're doing it in principle and trying to do it on behalf of other people, which I try not to do, because it's other people's opinions, and what on one hand they would call cool as a term of reference, and other people won't. Was a debate I saw on TV where some guys didn't mind calling, Oriental. Some hated being called Oriental. They're either called Asian or Chinese or Korean, or they don't care if they get called yellow, or all that sort of stuff. They said, look, it doesn't matter. They said, what it doesn't matter what you call me, it's how you treat me. That's the thing. And I guess that's what I find really interesting, is what these people who try to impose things on other people, how they treat others. They might treat the people that they like with some, gentleness, but they don't treat others with quite the same courtesy. So I find that interesting. So anyway, the war against free speech, I believe, being wholly politically correct, means that you're closing down a lot of discussion, a lot of questioning of the way things are and the ideals. And no, it's not just the establishment, as it were, because ironically enough, the people that originally were for free speech are now the establishment, and a lot of people that are into being politically correct are the establishment. So you're actually fighting against yourself, guys. And it dumbs down and assumes the lowest common denominator and infantilizes, in my opinion, a lot of people. Not only that, but it brings about a lot of fear and not able to discuss things openly. I mean, that's the whole important thing with human beings, is that, you know, I feel they're isolating a whole lot of people by not allowing them to talk. And now it seems like, you know, you're not even allowed to think things or make jokes. I mean, jokes are designed to offend people. If they didn't offend somebody, then they wouldn't be funny. I mean, I don't like comedy these days where it's all about, this is how depressed I am, this is my journey, this is how crap my life is, and people are trying to find that funny. I said, that's not funny. That is really sad and really tragic, that there's somebody out there who's basically telling everybody their whole business, and everybody's laughing at them, and they're getting money and making famous, you know, and then that to me is not healthy, because then if you're making your whole act about how crappy and shitty your life is, with nothing really good in between or nothing really amusing that you find in between, then what are you going to do? You're going to self-perpetuate your sad lifestyle to give yourself more ammunition or more information so that you can, or material for your acts. So how depressed is your life going to be? I mean, yeah, that's kind of dwelling on a negative. But positives, well, this war against free speech is quite interesting. But here's the thing. So what do you think are the positives and negatives of this whole thing about free speech? Like, do you apply that, yes, everybody should be allowed to have their say and criticise the government and have an open discussion, but at the same time, do you actually say, oh, no, you can't say that? Then what's the point of having a discussion? So do you know other people who do that? And why is it that you think that they do that? You know, is it just to be a part of the crowd, a part of the mob, a part of the what do they call it, the establishment as it is now? Because that's what the establishment is now. You know, a lot of pretty words, not much action, no intention of doing anything. So how do you think that you want to live? You know, what sort of society do you want to live in your life now, like, you know, in the future going forward, where you're able to actually have open and frank discussions, where you're able to actually have your brain challenged to be able to reach outside of your box, to be able to experience and be aware of different things, like open up a whole new world. Is that kind of world that you want to live in, or do you want to live in a comfy little, you know, golden box of, this is what I know, this is how I know it, and there's nothing new, everything's pretty much the same, and something in between? You know, how do you want to live your life, and how does, you know, being able to openly discuss things, you know, come into that? Which makes it interesting when you talk it down and drill down to the actual personal level of being able to talk with your partners about things. They're going to be worried about what you're going to say to them, because, you know, the whole free speech and political correctness, or is it going to be like a meeting with a whole bunch of lawyers where you need to draw out things in triplicate and have legalese to have an open discussion rather than just being, you know, straight shooter? I don't know. Anyways, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I just have no idea. Me, I kind of like being a straight shooter. I like having open, frank discussions that challenge me. There's some things that have been mind-boggling, and some people's brains are absolutely amazing. That's kind of what I like. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. I'm here at the big wheel now. I think I've talked long enough. And tomorrow's ANZAC Day. Support our vets. There's a Mates for Mates program as well, and there's some places where some of the vets can go to take time off away from, you know, a few things and help them after they've had a hard time and a rough trot. I do what I can, and I encourage all the people to support these guys. They do a lot for our country, and a lot of people reckon that they just, you know, kill people. They don't. They actually go on quite a few missions. Like they went to help after tsunamis up in Southeast Asia, you know, help with tidying up. They go and help after cyclones and big massive storms, and they help, you know, build bridges, villages, dams and stuff to help local populace around the world. So being in the military is not all about killing people. It is also about helping local communities, providing aid, you know, medical aid, help in rebuilding, you know, whole families and villages and cities and clean up and everything like that. It's a pretty tough job, and I don't see a lot of people, not enough people doing it. I mean, if I was able to, I still would go, but there you go, I'm doing what I can. Anyway, see you guys, lest we forget.